We're going to have a pretty fun afternoon with you guys. Okay, we're good on that camera also. So my name's Kyle Harder. I'm a professional hair and makeup artist in the film, fashion, TV, and commercial industry. And I'm also a body painter. So today we're going to do a really fun look, and it's going to have a bit of Coachella flair. This is our model, Asha. Asha, right?
Yes.
And so her skin's already prepped. We're basically just going to jump in with our foundations. But I'm going to start with more of a simple beauty, and then we're going to add our festival flair for those of you who want to try something a little bit more advanced. So festivals, we all know, can be a little bit hot and sweaty. We're all dancing around quite a bit. So our Perfect Canvas Hydrolac Foundation is actually going to be a really excellent choice for days like this that are pretty long when you're outside. It's sweat resistant, it's semi-matte, so you're never going to look like you're super sweaty or shiny. You pretty much have a nice even complexion. I also am going to use our TEMPTU Air because for festivals like this, it's super lightweight. It's about a pound, so it travels really easily.
Actually, half a pound.
It's half a pound, so it's even less. Okay, which is awesome. I travel with this all the time, and it's super easy to carry back and forth with you. Plus, the charge on this mine lasts me at least a week when I'm using it, if not more. Honestly, sometimes I'll go 2 weeks without having to recharge. So if you don't want to have to worry about that while you're having your festival fun, super good option. So we're going to start out with her base complexion. You guys can prep your skin at home with just some moisturizer, or our SB primer is really great because it just helps with our silicone-based formulas. Everything just pretty much stays locked in even better. All right, let's see. I always like to test it out of my hand first. That way I'm making sure that everything is spraying correctly, and it is. And I'm going to start at the centers of Asha's face and work out. Yep, right now I'm using 7, which is Desert, and I'm just doing some of the highlights of the inside of her face first. I like to do a little bit of her high cheekbone, her under eye, and as I'm doing this, I typically work in nice, slow, steady circles. It will give you guys a more even spray. Okay. We'll go a little bit down the center of her nose. And if I'm blocking the camera at all, you guys just let me know.
Yeah, you're doing great.
You guys will see it starts to get more highlighted towards the center planes of her face. Asha already has some long eyelashes on, so if you're somebody who wears eyelashes regularly, when you're doing it, you can kind of lift the lash. You can keep your eyes closed, Asha. And then that way you can get underneath without spraying your lash, because you don't cover your eyelashes and you end up with a bunch of overspray on your nice dark lashes.
Do you conceal under the makeup first, or?
Yeah, typically, so when I do my skin prep, I will actually conceal the under eye first and then airbrush over it. That way I'm not disrupting any of the airbrush that I've already sprayed. Sometimes I just pat it in. Now this color, it actually could use a little bit more warmth. It doesn't have quite enough richness. So I'm going to move up one more shade. And I'm going to use Caramel. So if you guys didn't see, when I start with these, I'm always pulling out the little back tab. You see that? And then I'm going to press in this button over here and push it right on. Usually takes a few tries when you first start using these, but once you're used to it, it's really easy. Okay. And I'm just overlapping the areas that I worked on already and giving her a little bit more of an overall full coverage on the rest of her skin. And for the look I designed today, it was actually a tough decision because once I saw Asha's hair, I was like, oh, there's a couple fun directions I could go with this, because at Coachella you'll see everything from, you know, the flower power styled girls, or there's a lot of Native American fringe inspired looks. Sometimes we see more futuristic looks there, a lot of color. So it was tough to pick what direction I was going to go, but I ended up going a little bit more of a cross between Native American and futuristic. So we'll see what that turns out like. And again, I'm just working in nice horizontal layers with kind of big overlapped circles. And I'm going to move to the other side. It's nice to work in thin layers too. Do one side of your face and then move across to the other side. That way it gives each layer nice time to dry in between. And I always go over the eyelids just to even out that complexion also. Something I want to talk about, since Asha's hair color is very icy, which I love. She kind of has those like light purple highlights. You can go a little bit cooler with her complexion. However, if you want more of like a summer glow, she has a really good complexion to show some of our color correctors. So we have, let me see if I can get this out of here. I don't know if it's in here, but.
What do you need? We can get it for you.
I would like our salmon color corrector, and we have a salmon one.
We're gonna get one for you right now.
Yeah.
We'll get a pot for you.
Yeah. Okay. We have one here too. In the meantime, while they're grabbing me a color corrector, something you can also do to help the skin just look a little bit more luminous is use any of our, thank you, our air glows or our highlighters. Anything that has a little bit of shimmer in it is really nice. Like I love our highlighter in gold, and I'm going to incorporate that into her eyes later. So for now, we're going to add a little bit of that in her highlights, her high cheekbones here. And that already makes her skin look even warmer. I don't know if you guys can see that in the light, but it just adds a nice, nice glow to her skin.
You can absolutely see it.
Awesome.
Can you see it on Facebook?
Yeah.
So I'm doing a little in her brow bone also. Any of the high planes of her face that we really want to stand out. And you don't have to go under the eye. You want to keep it just on the highlight, right about in this section here. And then again, we'll go into her brow bone. Do a little bit down the center of her nose because it's Coachella and we're allowed to have a little bit more fun. A little bit on the chin. Cupid's bow. Right, and her skin already looks like it's got a bit more glow and warmth to it. Now close your eyes for me. I know that I'm going to be using this on her eyes later, so we're just going to do a base at the center of her eye just to get that started. And
We have a comment, somebody loves the natural tone.
yeah, it's beautiful on her. Alright. So they also just grabbed me the peach, or the salmon color corrector. Anybody that wants a little bit more, you know, either correction under your eyes, if you get any dark circles or purple, this is really great for that. Ooh, my bad. Or if you just need a little bit more of like an orange glow to your skin or anything salmon, it's really nice. So I'm just adding a little bit more color to her.
Somebody asked, is this just gold highlighter?
This was just the gold highlighter. Yep. Now this one I'm using here is our salmon color corrector.
I've always seen color correcting under the foundation. What are you getting out of it putting it on top?
Typically it is used under, but because all of our product layers really well, if you apply a foundation and then you realize that you would like a little bit more warmth to the skin or just a little bit of color correcting, what's really great is that you can just layer it. So since I applied the first color and then I decided for this look, I think her skin needs to be a bit warmer. Now I'm just doing another layer over with the salmon. because that just brings a little bit more color back into her skin.
How do you set to avoid creasing for a hot and tropical weather?
So my best advice for that is, like I was saying, really work in layers, work in very sheer thin layers. And for the hot tropical weather, what's great is because it's already a silicone-based formula, it's not oil-based and it's not water-based. So with oil and water-based formulas, when you sweat, it's going to push the product off your skin. With the silicone base, it really adheres to your skin much better. So you already have a better option just by using the silicone base. Like I said, the Perfect Canvas Hydrolock is also a semi-matte formula. So that already helps with the whole sweaty look because your skin isn't going to be dewy. Our older silicone-based formula, that was a little bit more of a dewy finish. So that tended to look a little bit shinier if you're somebody who's already sweating and oily. So this is my best bet. If you wanted to use a setting spray in between a few layers, you could do that. I don't tend to use a whole lot of powder with this. I don't think you need it. I think that just adds layers of product. But if you are somebody who really does think you need that, just thin, fine layers, and then you can take a brush and just dust it in a little bit, you know, if you're talking about creasing under the eye or anything. But really just work in thin, fine layers. That's your best way to avoid any creasing. Okay, so since we just used our color corrector, we'll just do one last thin layer of our foundation. And then it's nice because our gold highlighter that we already added kind of looks like it's just coming through the skin. Alright, so that was just kind of a final layer. Now I'm going to take our Warm Glow bronzer, which we have two bronzers. The Warm Glow bronzer has a hint of a gold shimmer in it. Our Bronze and Contour is a matte bronzer, so you know you can choose based on what you like. For Coachella, I like a little bit of extra shimmer, so I'm gonna.
Can silicone formulas clog your pores? Is it still breathable? And what if you're really dry already?
So the silicone formula, no, it's not clogging your pores. It's very breathable. It's kind of a layer over your skin, and actually we have our silicone primer, which helps to keep it adhered but not seeping into your pores. It's kind of like a nice base layer between your skin and the product. What was the other question?
What if you're really dry already?
Oh, if you're really dry already, I would use a moisturizer, definitely use a hydrating primer. But the silicone-based formulas, they really help with that. If you're very, very dry, you may actually do very well with our SB formula product rather than our semi-matte Perfect Canvas. So based on your skin type, you can kind of choose which one you like to use.
The questions keep coming, so I'm going to keep hitting you up with it.
Okay.
Can I use contour powder on top, assuming they don't want to
Yep.
use TEMPTU contour, which is even better?
Right.
But
This one's not clicking in. Yeah, you can layer any product together. Yeah, this one's just not.
they just give it to me, I'll get it fixed.
Okay.
There you go. Ready?
Is it? Ah, what did you do?
Just push it on hard.
Harder?
Don't be afraid, the product will not break.
Okay, so now that we have her base, I'm actually going to come in with a contour. So some of you asked if we could do that with powder. Absolutely, you can. I would say just make sure you let the silicone-based product dry first before you go adding product. But to save you time and keep the formula consistent, I like to just use our bronzers. You can use your hand as a guide if you're newer to airbrushing. That kind of helps you see where, here, why don't you even turn towards the camera. So typically our contour, we're starting at our ear and bring it into our cheekbone, but if you have trouble with aim, just give yourself a little guide. Start back at your hairline, make sure the product's coming out, and then you can watch the product come forward.
Is that the Warm Glow now?
This is Warm Glow bronzer, yep.
Is it a good idea to do traditional makeup and layer it with the TEMPTU product for more coverage?
To layer it for more coverage, you don't necessarily need to. You can get anywhere from light coverage to medium coverage to full coverage with the airbrush. I recommend not doing too many different layers between airbrush and regular foundation because it's different formulas. So the purpose of the silicone-based formula is that it's really a long-lasting formula. If you start mixing oil-based with silicone, it's actually going to limit the longevity of the product. And turn this way. So if you need a guide, use your hand again. Start at a nice space by the ear and the hairline and work your way forward.
Linda's saying, I have the old pistol. If I like to use this one, I have to buy all the makeup again? I don't know how you call them, the makeup pots. We call them the AirPods.
The AirPods.
And we also have an AirPod Pro, which is a top feed airbrush.
Yes,
that you can
Linda,
use all your liquids with. So
I'll show you that in a second because I'm actually going to use, one of the bottle poured products in one of these. So what we have now, these are just the pre-filled pods, but we have one called the AirPod Pro where you can actually take off the top. Here, I actually have it right here. So if you guys can see, these ones are pre-filled. This is our AirPod Pro. So for this, you just remove the top, and it's a top feed dispenser. So you'll just pour the product in here, which makes any of our other products, so any of the product that you already have, any of our SB formulas, even our Dura formula, as long as you clean it well, it can all run through here. And that way you can just keep using, mixing and matching whatever product you'd like.
back to like, can I put regular foundation on with ours? What if it's a silicone-based foundation? Probably the best to use something similar to ours.
Yeah.
But by all means, you can definitely do layerable coverage and get as much as you want with TEMPTU without putting anything else on.
Absolutely.
You can mix the colors with the Pro, somebody else is saying, the other advantage of the Pro Pod. Do a little TEMPTU mixology.
Yeah, you definitely can mix and match. But really what's great about these is just the speed, you know, so instead of having to swap back and forth and carry all of your traditional product and carry Airbrush, the purpose is just that you really can carry less product and get a lot more done with these and a lot faster. So if you guys can see, I'm pulling in some contour for her eyes. I'm right down the sides of her nose. And not everybody needs to contour the sides of their nose. It's something that we see in our media a lot nowadays. But, you know, if you don't need it, you don't have to do it. For this look, I am going to do it. And we're going to start to even contour her eyes for this look. So I'm still using my warm glow bronzer just for this. So you guys can see how potent the color can get if you just keep adding some layers of it.
We have somebody saying they love their Air and AirPod Pro combo. Total game changer.
It absolutely
I love that.
is.
Thank you for saying that.
And for even more speed, I actually keep like 3 of these on me whenever I'm working. So it's less pods that I have to switch through. Like things like bronzer and blush that I always know I'm going to use on just about everybody, because these are pretty universal shades for our bronzers. I'll just leave it on and I'll swap one with foundation, but just keep this running. You know, it just makes things go a lot faster.
I didn't tell her to say that either, guys. She's saying buy more TEMPTU Airs. Don't
You
just have
feel
one
like
in your
such
bag.
a boss when you pull out all these pods. It's like you could have a whole tool belt full of pods, and sometimes I do, and everybody just thinks it's cool. But it's also just really efficient. Okay, turn this a little bit. So again, we're just contouring her eyes. We're actually pulling her eye shape out a little bit further, making her eyes even bigger. And we're just doing a more exaggerated beauty look for Coachella. And this eye shape is kind of a halo. So we have the highlight in the centers, and then it's almost like a ring around the eye. And I'm just extending that out, which is where I said we're going to get a little bit more futuristic with this look. Also, where I'm extending the eyeshadow out here, if you guys have trouble getting a nice, clean, crisp line on your own, again, use your fingers. You can use that as a guide. And you can get a nice, crisp line. Do the same on the other side. Use your finger as a guide. It also helps make sure that you have the right angle so you're not angling her eyes down.
What's the benefit of working power level 3 for contour?
Just a little bit more product comes out. So since I wanted this a little bit heavier, I'm just using power 3. Anybody who's starting, you pretty much, when you're working on the face, will stay at 2 because it'll give you a little bit more control. for the sake of speed. And then 3, you're typically just going to use for body work, any larger areas. 1 you basically would do for any small detail. But that's also depends on your level of control. I've been airbrushing for a long time now, so for me, when I just want to work fast, I sometimes just go right to 3, so I get more product out faster. But
What's the advantage of this machine over an S1 for face makeup? And is the Doppler model a better one than she's using for professional makeup artists? So talk a little bit about the equipment for that.
So as far as equipment, they're both great for face. This really is just, I think it's more efficient. So I think we all know that the S1 has a beautiful spray. It's actually maybe slightly cleaner, although our new AirPods are spraying actually more like our S1 compressor. That being said, we also know the weight of the S1 compressor can get heavy to kind of carry around with you all the time. You also have to kind of continually clean your SP35 or 40 gun. So what's really awesome about these is you're kind of skipping the cleaning process as long as you're using our pre-filled pods. All you're doing is popping a pod on or off, and it's super lightweight. You can also tell that it's much quieter than the S1 compressor. So both are great as far as the application of your face makeup. This is just easier to carry. It's kind of our new high-tech version of that. That being said, the S1 compressor is really great for all your fine detail because our spray in this is a little bit wider. So I'm going to actually show you guys the S1 compressor as I get further into this look. Some of the detailed work that I'm going to do, I prefer the S1 compressor with the SP35.
I always say it's like the SP35 is a ballpoint pen,
Yes,
while the TEMPTU Air is more like a Sharpie marker.
Right.
So it's like in most cases with beauty, you don't need more than a Sharpie marker, but in some cases you might want that fine line. That's a great reason to have an SP35 per se.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm switching to our mulberry blush, and what's awesome is all of this product, because it's the same formula, you can use it for the eyes, you can use it for the lips, you can use it for the face, the cheeks, everything's super versatile. So don't get locked into a blush is only used for a blush. It's a lot of products in one, actually.
Somebody's talking about, is the dropper version good? I think they're talking about the Pro Pod.
Yeah, the AirPod Pro.
Well, you have to clean it. It's easier to clean than an SP35, but it's not easier to clean than our pods and our cartridges. So by all means, if you're on a budget and you want to get started and you don't mind cleaning it, the Pro Pod is a great opportunity for you. Plus, you get to do your own color mixing.
Right.
You have more flexibility on that.
For our artists who really love being the true like artists and mixing and matching your own, it's awesome because it still gives you that same ability that our S1 compressor with the SP35 or 40 guns gave you. You can mix and match anything. With the pods in the Perfect Canvas foundation, we've actually extended the range so that our silicone-based formula, the SB formula, before it was only 12 shades. Now we have 20 that come in pods, and we have a variety of blush pods, highlighters, air glows, color correctors. So, you know, really, you could use anything. You know, you could use the pods for speed. If you prefer to use the dropper in our AirPod Pro, you still have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I'll add on. I'm Michael, by the way, everyone. It really matters your budget. And, you know, people who can afford the pods and have pre-filled cartridges love them. And they'll always stick with them. But if you're working and you need to tighten it up a little bit, the Pro Pod with bottles and makeup is like pretty much almost half the price, which is still not expensive on a per application basis, but you get a lot more value. So if you want to practice more, do a lot more freebies, the Pro Pod is a great place to start if you're on a tight budget.
The other thing is you'll notice that you really don't waste any product with these. If you're using the droppers, sometimes you'll drop, you know, a little bit too much product in there and you only need half the amount that you've put in your pod or your SP35, and then the rest of it, you know, let's be real, most of us don't sit there and pour it back into the bottle to conserve. You either just clean it out or you wipe it out. So with this, you're only using the amount of product that you spray out. So yes, if you're on a budget, the bottles are better, but if you're on a budget, you're also not wasting anything here. You're just using the amount that you need. So I really like it for that reason. Okay, and turn your head this way. So as you guys can see, this is a basic halo eye, but just a little bit more extreme.
Do you need to powder the Perfect Canvas?
You do not need to, but it is a choice. Sometimes I do. I actually really like the look of a semi-matte, and it is a true semi-matte. If you want something that's very matte and powdered, go ahead and powder. I typically like to take a powder puff and kind of press or tap it in. That way I'm not taking a brush and buffing it all out and, you know, changing the placement that I've just carefully airbrushed everything.
And
But that's your choice.
you can use Perfect Canvas in bottles with the SP35 gun. Perfect Canvas is available in AirPod cartridges plus bottles, so you can use it any way you want. You can also hand apply with it. It's a beautiful application with a synthetic brush.
Yeah. Yeah, hand applying is something that I haven't talked about a whole lot on here, but it is a really good option, especially for some of our newer airbrush users. So don't be afraid, you know, say I airbrushed this and then I wanted to go in with a little bit more carefully. So I'll actually show you guys for her under eye, which we all know is, it's kind of tough to get to the under eye area with an airbrush. So I could pour it out of a pod or I could spray it out of the gun on my hand. So you see the liquid there. Take my brush, dip it right in there. And what's nice about using them by hand and with a brush is, unlike using a powder or a shadow, you don't get any fallout, right? So we all know when we're working with our under eye, look up for me, and we take a shadow powder and we do this, sometimes you end up with fallout on the high cheekbone where you've just carefully placed your highlight. But if you take this, it's nice.
What color are you using now?
This is still the mulberry blush. So this is what I was telling you guys. It's really awesome because you could use it for lip, you could use it for blush, you could use it for eyes, you could use it as eyeliner. Don't be afraid to use your product more versatilely.
You use it for an eyeshadow, if someone's asking, yeah.
Yep. I use it for the contour of our eyeshadow, and we're using it for underneath our eye as well.
Somebody wants us to come to the Netherlands. You ready to fly out there, hang out in the Netherlands, do some training?
Anytime.
Okay, get us a couple dozen people to do it.
Right.
We'll figure it out, guys, out there. Thanks for tuning in
Absolutely.
to the Netherlands.
So as you guys can see, I'm just doing this really nice, beautiful light layer, and there's no fallout. I don't have to worry about any of this purple landing on her beautiful golden highlight. So as an artist, that saves you a lot of time because you don't have to clean up any areas like that. Let's see.
What's the advantage to enroll membership on the TEMPTU website? Well, there's discounts, and that's the biggest advantage, I think, for most artists. We have two different levels of it, so check it out and apply. We'd love to have you be part of our team.
Right, and speaking of discounts, today is our last day of our 20% off. Just use the code TAXDAY. If I were you, I would use it. I probably will use it, so make sure you take advantage of that.
20% off last day today. It's tax day in America, so everything's 20% off if you use the code, which is almost as good as our friends and family. That only happens once a year.
All right, so things you can't do with an airbrush. You can't do inner rim eyeliner. That's okay. You can definitely use it for the outer rim, but anything for the inside of your eye, you're still going to want to use your traditional makeup. So it's awesome that you can pair the two. So I'm going to take my black eyeliner, which I've just sharpened. And for that, we're just going to do a little bit on the rim of her eye. And look up for me.
I wish you guys would start making some more colors in canvas. I'm not sure what you mean by that. It sits better in the eye area.
She means she wants us to make more colors, like our high definition colors, in the Perfect Canvas formula, is what you're saying, because it's less dewy, so it doesn't crease as much in the eye. I'm guessing that's what you mean. I agree. But like I said, for your color variations, don't be afraid to use all of our blush, because we have pinks, reds, oranges, purples, and all of those. You know, you can use those as eyeshadows. You can use them in any creative way that you want. But yes, I think it would be cool to have all of the colors in the Perfect Canvas formula.
I do believe it's 20% off on all kits as well. Whoever, we're getting asked that question. And I will tell you, in a couple months we have a new product. We're not sure, working title Brilliant Glow, but it's a primer, and it's an over-under primer. And people are kind of like going crazy for it, who's ever tested it, because it's not really a highlighter, but it adds a luminosity to the skin. I personally, as a guy, wear it without any makeup. It's wonderful.
Sounds awesome.
So we have some new products coming out, but we'll think about those colors for the eyes, guys.
And for now, with those colors, you can still use all the SP colors as long as you set it with powder. You know, you can still use those for the eyes. I hear what you guys are saying as far as creasing, but also consider with that, as long as you're working in nice sheer layers and allowing the product time to dry, you really can get away with a lot.
How long does it take to dry with perfect canvas, and how do you deal with mature skin?
How long does it take to dry?
I guess how long does perfect canvas take to dry?
You know, that
Pretty
kind of
decent.
depends on your spray. So for me, it dries pretty immediately because I do work in sheer layers. Like, you know, I can touch your skin right now. It's not tacky. It's completely dry. Because this product is very transfer resistant. That's one of the really good benefits to the perfect canvas. So it really does dry right away. Now, if you spray a lot, kind of like you guys saw on my hand, I pulled the trigger back really hard and a lot of product came out. That would take a while to
That's
dry.
what not to do,
So,
people. Do not pull the
exactly.
trigger back. Release as little makeup as possible
Right, like-
and build layerable coverage, and it dries immediately.
Exactly. And you
That-
guys can see, even if you spray a lot and kind of rub it in and give it time to dry, it dries. But as far as just, you know, not having it get wet and crease, just work in nice sheer layers and you're really never going to have that problem.
Yeah, image experience says better look with sheer, when you sheer layer it. It's the only way to apply our makeup. I think it's like when you apply it too much and it is wet and it takes too long to dry, it tends to be over applied. As Sylvia, who's kind of like the godmother of Airbrush for us, she always says you want to, once you see the makeup, you put too much on.
Right. So a really great way to practice the amount of product that you're spraying out is to work on a piece of white paper, because you'll see how much actually comes out, and you'll know that if it's wet on paper, it's going to be wet on skin. And when you're spraying on paper, you can work in really sheer layers so that it doesn't actually build up. So for anybody who's newer, definitely practice on paper first, on white paper. That way you can see the amount of product that's coming out.
Mature skin, they want you to talk about that.
Oh, mature skin. Really, it's the same. It's working in sheer layers. I know with mature skin, we worry a lot about creasing. One, definitely a primer is great. I even like our Air Glow primer. I love, but if you have mature skin and you don't want any shimmer to it, just use the regular SB primer. But then just work in sheer layers. Anywhere around fine lines, you may want to just use the hand application. So you could do most of your full coverage on your face, and then if you have fine lines around your eyes or maybe around like your smile lines, just go in with a nice brush. Anything like this that's like a dual fiber, you could go in and just make sure it gets into any of the fine lines or creases.
Sylvia was not on live last week. We had Joanna from New Hampshire came in. She's working with the powder group and loves TEMPTU. But Sylvia will be back soon.
Okay, so
We like to mix it up. We have amazing artists. There's so many amazing artists that we like to work with. We're down to about 5 to 6 more minutes.
yes, so we're getting down to the wire here, so I'm going to go a little bit more interesting with our makeup.
Nobody can even see what you're doing, guys.
So I'm using one of our silver glitters, and I put the mixing medium in my SP35 first. Now I'm just tapping a little bit of the powder into here. And I'm going to just mix that. Actually, a little bit more. Alright. So you guys can do
How long
this.
should a full face take for a bridal look?
Personally, I think 20 minutes. I do a lot of weddings. For the bride, I will always take about 40, not because you need 40 minutes, but more just to make them feel special. But bridesmaids, you can do a face in 15 to 20 minutes, because your base, your foundation, blush, highlight, and contour should take you no more than 5 minutes.
You always mix instead of back bubbling? Why is that?
Because if you back bubble, you have more chance that the product's going to get shot back into the gun and create clogs. So if you can, just take something to mix, whether it's a little brush. This is just a little like metal tip that I'm just stirring the product up with.
I will say our Pro Pods with the air, you actually can back bubble, nothing will go back.
Right.
So the Pro Pods were designed for back bubbling and mixing, while a typical airbrush, as you can hear, the old S1, it's like an
A little
SUV.
bit loud.
I don't know why anyone wants to use it anymore.
So I could do this in the AirPod Pro also, but I just chose to do it in this for now. Alright. The other thing is with the TEMPTU Air, you don't have to deal with any cords. It's wireless, which is really nice. Okay, so again, I always say I test it out on my skin first. Okay, so now some of our silver's coming out. Great. Close your eyes. So like I said, we're going to go a little bit more futuristic with this look. So
Linda loves the old one. With the S1, Melinda, I imagine you're talking about. It's a classic. God bless you. I call it a SUV versus the Air as a sports car.
So like I said, she's got that beautiful icy look going with her hair already. Just see if I can cross in front of camera. Hi guys. Really close to you right now. Okay, you do the same. Always blow the air off the person's face first and then bring it on. You don't want to shock them. Just blowing it directly onto their face to start. And again, when you guys are doing fine detail, even with the S1, you can adjust the pressure. I'm just working kind of quickly right now, so I'm not really taking time to adjust any pressure. I'm just kind of making it all happen.
Such beautiful work, they're saying. Thank you for taking the time to provide all this useful free education.
My pleasure.
We're dedicated to product education here at TEMPTU. We know that that's what it takes to do the next level. So thank you for thinking us.
I'm already loving this. It reminds me of the sunset. Just as your Coachella sun is going to be out for you guys. Okay, and look up. So when you go anywhere near the eye, just be really careful. Don't pull back on your trigger a lot, because you just want a really light spread. And again, I'm not going to go too close to her eye. If I want that, I'll do that with a brush. Just get a nice sheer layer underneath. And then as I showed you guys before,
With her hair, that works.
yeah.
I like their look.
Anytime you're going to go near the eyes, just spray a little product out on your hand. Okay? And then you can go right in. I like to kind of saturate my brush with it. And then just go right in the under eye area. Now we're going to intensify her eye a little bit. How are you feeling, Asha?
Good, I can't wait to see.
It looks really cool.
Cool. You look very extra. I feel like we
Asha.
should do something after this.
Get it.
You should. You should do
FaceTime our
something.
customers.
Whoa!
I like this.
Did you wear it to
It's very
Coachella?
future. Oh, I definitely would. Very futuristic.
Yeah, so right now I'm just cleaning out my gun a little bit because I'm going to switch to a black after this. So just a little bit SB cleaner. Yep. Yep, I'm just cleaning it out. I just use a little SB cleaner here to spray out my silver color before I move it to black. So for those of you who are asking about our SB product and if I can use it, this is the SB in black. So yeah, it's a little bit more dewy, but I'm going to work in sheer layers so you guys can see what that ends up looking like. Also, I didn't do it, but sometimes if you shake it up a little bit before you do it, it makes a nice saturated color. Okay, again, I always test it out. Black is good to test on white. Just trying to get rid of my silver. Okay, that's good. Also, for anybody that's newer, now's the time when you're doing the eyes. You could switch and you could use some of your traditional makeup, but it takes longer to blend, whereas if I do this, I could do black and blend it out really quickly. your eyes. So we're just intensifying the corners of her eyes. Extending that out. Same with the inside.
You're getting some love right now. For the people asking to be in our live video, sorry, I don't even know how to do that. I'm new to Instagram. I do have over 300 people. They can't be in it today. Sorry, guys.
And as you guys can hopefully see, I'm working really slowly with black. Nice, slow, steady build.
Just got an evening look.
This is where we're taking it a little bit more futuristic. Across the lash line. Also, for some of you who are newer to our product, if it's difficult for you to pull the trigger and get product, so to get airflow and product out at once, you could consider our single action, which is the SP40, versus our dual action, which is the SP35. That way, this one is a dual action, which means you have to push down for air, pull back for product. Our SP40 is a single action, which means there's constant air flowing. So all you ever have to do is move the trigger back and forth to get product out. Okay. So we're getting there with our futuristic look. I'm going to leave that little bit of highlight down the center of her nose. Alright. And then we're actually going to, do we have a piece of paper anywhere? Well, I could use a tissue. Actually, I'll just use this plate. So
There's stencils right there.
for the next part, if you guys are not too used to doing any detail work or line work, you can always practice on paper first. So what's nice about this is you get a nice crisp line, right? So if I want to align detail across her eyes like this, but I want a little bit of practice first, you guys can always do this on paper, right? So if you're worried or if you've never done it, take a little practice first. Okay, and Lisa, close your eyes. We're going to start out at her hairline. Actually, I can start right here where the black is.
Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner
Yeah.
used the airbrush
exactly.
to this effect a little bit. I like it. You're taking me back to the first time I saw airbrushing in movies. Can you use the SP40 and the S1 compressor? Absolutely. The SP40, and you can also get a conversion gun and use the AirPod Pro system with the S1. The S1 is the most flexible of all airbrushes in the marketplace that we have that you can use with any gun, any dual action gun or single action gun.
And the closer you get to the skin, the more crisp your lines will be. But if you're close, you really don't need to pull back on your trigger at all.
Oh, I always thought it could only be used with the dual action. Oh, good. I'm glad we taught you something. I'm learning right now from this like Coachella look myself and Kyle, so we're all learning today. Sorry.
Okay. So that's if you just want to do some fun line work. To finish it off, always incorporate a lip. I'm using Tawny Spice. It's one of our nice nude colors. Okay. And then I'll just kind of finish off the lip line with a brush. Also, don't forget any of our nude like lip colors, you can use our foundations to make it even more nude. Which I'll show you guys in a second. So we used caramel
it out.
in here before.
You gotta see.
Ooh.
And
It
then,
reminds me of a
like Mad Max a little.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's perfect.
You can go to Burning Man too. It's just not Coachella.
So as you guys can see, I'm making her lip a little bit more of a nude shade. I went over the Tawny Spice with our foundation color. Now I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer using our gold. Actually, I'll do the gloss first. Gloss first and then add the shimmer. That way, if you put the shimmer on first and then you rub gloss over it, you'll move the product around. So I like to do it this way.
X-Men. Yes, I would go with that.
I mean, everyone calls her Storm anyways, right? 'Cause of
Yeah,
her
because the hair.
Mo Freak, sorry I can't put you in our live video, but I love your name.
The name
Thanks
is
for
Mo
watching.
Free.
mo.freak.
Okay, so this is our gold highlighter that you saw me use earlier. Now that she's got the gloss on her lips.
Ha ha, I got it.
Add a little bit more of that shine back in there. Just gives the look a little bit of a twinkle.
What kind of look are we doing? Coachella festival look today.
Yeah, it's kind of Native American, futuristic inspired. My train was a little late, so I didn't get to do her hair before I got here. But I had these cool, like, black suede ropes, or kind of like twine, that I was going to do braids here and wrap it around. So that would kind of complete the Coachella look. You guys could try that at home. She already had eyelashes on, so I didn't need to reapply eyelashes. But
I could totally see you having a great time at a festival with that look on, right?
Are you going now?
I should. What is it? Next weekend, right?
now.
Coachella's now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already
For a
happening.
full week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just 2 weekends.
Close your eyes.
So let's go, Kim.
She's like, put me on a plane now. I'm out.
Michael, you paid for our flight for testing purposes?
Expensive out on the business.
Send me. I'll just sit and airbrush people.
See you as a team effort.
Don't you love how you don't get fallout on the lashes if I can get back
I
to
love
business?
it. And like you can layer so easily. You know, if I were to go in and try and do this with a brush, I would move all the lines that I just airbrushed in. So it's awesome that you can just add all of this so easily.
I love how you're coloring an inside between the lines and stuff. That's really great.
Yeah, once you guys get a little practice, you can be super creative and layer, use this lightly, use it heavily, just have a lot of fun with it. So yeah,
I'm excited.
she's Storm. Is there anything else anybody wanted to see or have any other questions
Come stand
product-wise?
next to
Oops,
her.
sorry.
Let me see. A little closer. There you go. That, you're both in there together.
So
Perfect.
yeah, anything else that anybody wanted to see or learn product-wise?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for all staying with us this whole time.
So once we finish this, I am going to do her hair and just finish it off, and we'll post a picture of the final look. That way you guys could see what your whole Coachella look could be. And maybe some of you who are there now could try it out. All right.
Beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Don't forget about the 20%. Go online. Just use the code TAXDAY. Get any of the product that we use today. Again, my favorites are the TEMPTU Air, the AirPod Pro for those of you who already have our product, but would like to try the Air instead of your old S1 compressor. And then the Perfect Canvas formula, because it's sweat resistant, it's transfer resistant, it's pretty water resistant. So if you're partying at Coachella and you're dancing a lot, this is a really great product for you. All right, thanks for tuning in.
And yep, we'll post a before picture too. Thanks, guys.
We'll post a